Welcome back to the Corporate Cowboys podcast. My name is Alex. As always, your host to, a premier professional development podcast. If you haven't shared this yet with your close associates, with your friends, your family, by all means, please do so. You can find us on Instagram. That's at Corporate Cowboys with a Z. On Patreon, we are the Corporate Cowboys podcast. And there are a couple of donation links available out there, spread out in the ether. You're a smart cookie. I'm sure you can find them. Got a Venmo, a Cash App, a PayPal, all set up to receive donations from $1 to $1 million, or I don't know, something just under the legal limit to avoid triggering an audit, what have you. You can write to us physically, send us physical items, stuff that is tangible. I don't know, metals, precious or not precious, I guess. Well, no, ammunition is precious. But you can do so at P.O. Box 3372, Rancho Cordova, California, 95741. Right? If you're not aware of what the podcast is about, well, the overarching theme of the entire podcast, every episode from season 1, episode 1, has been attaining a state of consummate professionalism, right? This serves as a form of therapy for me and the opportunity to practice what it is I do in everyday life, which is negotiate with corporate and help my clients, help my associates, my professional acquaintances negotiate with corporate. I want the people around me, I want the people in my circle to know how to move within corporate, how to move up through corporate so that we become better together. Otherwise, I'm just going to be left out on a limb. Everybody expects to receive a handout because I made it and they didn't. No, fuck all of that. I'm not going to close the door behind me. I'm going to point to you where the door is at. The door might be closed, but rest assured that your boy knows how to squeeze flexible material or film between the jamb or the door jamb to at least let you get in, right? I gotta show you. I have to go through the motions of showing you how to do it. So giving you a peek behind the curtain on the templates that we use, at least the mental templates, and the questions that we ask should be enough to prompt you to take notes, right? If you choose to do so mentally or physically on paper. But these questions are the type that you should be asking yourself when making a decision, whether or not to move up through corporate, whether or not the next step is worth it, whether or not you should get promoted. Because you never know. You might end up promoting yourself. Put in enough work and you could create your own vacuum by taking out the ones ahead of you. Righteously, right? We don't always want to resort to skullduggery first. Today's question comes from r/CareerGuidance, right? I pull these questions from online, mostly from Reddit. Why? Because Reddit, I think, is a proper population sample size where it's a large enough forum to attract a variety of perspectives. Sure, they might be biased, they might be left-leaning or right-leaning. I give two fucks. For the most part, it's our belief, my belief at least, and our belief together that professionals should be objective, should be neutral, and professional, right? Can't be a professional without being professional. It goes without saying. It's a namesake. And in that way, you move like a corporate cowboy. We pulled that from originally the cocaine cowboys. If you know the story behind them, analogize it, if you will, to corporate. And anybody from entry level to middle management to corporate executive can be a corporate cowboy. It's not that difficult. It's a mindset. It's a mindset for improvement. It's a mindset for opportunity maximization. Today's question coming from r/CareerGuidance. It's flagged for advice. So they want our word. Now, I got to give the disclaimer. Every time I make a podcast that requests advice, that necessitates me analyzing and drawing inferences, it's a disclaimer. Nothing that I say, nothing that we say or that we propagate across this podcast through the episodes or through the Instagram, nothing that we publish online should be construed as legal advice to you or anyone else, right? We don't have enough to go on with these written out questions online. We simply don't. For it to be a specific enough advisory opinion, we simply do not have enough. That's why I tend to refer to these questions as if coming from hypothetical clients. Hypothetically, if they asked us this, then I would go through the steps of what it is to conduct an intake interview, what it is to conduct follow-up interviews, and then, and only then, can we analyze and advise. Otherwise, this is just general advice. I mean, yeah, I could tell you how to move through corporate, but I don't know you. I don't know your name. I don't know your background or your education. I definitely don't know what objectives it is that you have in engaging corporate and having entered corporate as an employee or independent contractor. There are innumerable ways to move up through corporate, and every person has a special case. That's why we take these on a case-by-case basis. Our rates are more than reasonable, and we would love to help because it's what we do to make a living. So we might as well lend a hand where we can. The question today is asking, should I tell my boss I'm job hunting? Truth be told, it depends. And I know you're not going to like that answer because it's as if I'm hedging my bets. The answer could be yes, it could be no, and it could be right or wrong either way you answer it. So by answering it depends, yeah, I'm hedging my bets. But truthfully, it does. Whether or not the relationships that you keep with your colleagues, your coworkers, your immediate supervisors, and or other executives, whatever connections you've managed to cultivate in your organization or in competing organizations within your industry, it all matters as to whether or not you should let your boss know that you're hunting for your next prize. You know, it could turn up the burners up under them and incentivize them to make a move to keep you. They might be the ones to make you an offer, to keep you, have you stay with them, right? You definitely want to keep your options open. Otherwise, you might be left with some ill will, right? Some bad blood, some water that is not completely under the bridge, and you will have to sooner or later deal with, because for any number of reasons, you might have remained in the same industry, or maybe you're in the same organization, just a different division, a different department, if you will. So they start by writing, long story short, I had a bad yearly review due to being injured at work. I don't know. A bad yearly review due to being injured at work. I don't know if being injured at work justifies you having a bad review. I feel like that might be excused. right? Depending on whatever doctor's evaluation that you got, that states that you'll be out of full load work, or you'll have to work on a limited basis for a specified period of time. If during that time they're still evaluating you as if you were a regular employee and had never gotten injured, you might have a case, so to speak. But that all depends on what it is you agreed to, on the laws of your jurisdiction, whatever state you might live in, whatever city it is you might work in. So they write, I got a 4% cost of living raise. And in parentheses, that's the inflation in my area. It's 5.7%. So their cost of living raise wasn't even enough to cover inflation in their area. And they continue, and a partial bonus. And that's it. Field staff got 6% and bonuses. Yes, I know that in itself is shitty enough. I talked to my direct supervisor who claimed he had no idea about any of it. I'm on the fence if I believe him. A couple weeks ago, I told him my side of things, and he said he'd talk to the big boss. No, he says, he did, but he can't remember what came of it. What the fuck? You're trusting your manager with your livelihood, with your job, with your promotion, with your cost of living increases, your livelihood, how you make your money, how you butter your bread. You trust your manager with that, and you allow them to get away with, I don't know. I mean, we talked about, I don't know whatever came of it. Fuck. Save me. Spare me the bullshit. You know what happened. They just played. They were just cupcaking, patty caking, back and forth, grab assing a little bit probably. Did they bring you up ever? Who's to know? Who knows? Who knows? They say, yes, I know that's shitty in itself. Yes, I know that in itself is shitty enough. They write, I talked to my direct supervisor who claimed he had no idea about any of it. I'm on the fence if I believe him. If you're already on the fence, if you have to ask, I feel like you already know. You should know, depending on what rapport you've kept with your colleagues, depending on what kind of rapport you've cultivated, the reputation that you keep with your direct supervisor. If you don't know, if you cannot gauge what status you have in relation to your direct supervisor, you are fucking up. You have to know the position that you hold within your company. You cannot let your direct supervisor dictate it for you. When they tell you, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Like, you expect them to look out for your best interest, for your professional interests, and help you develop into something better? They probably don't know what the fuck better even looks like. A couple weeks ago, I told him my side of things, and he said he would talk to the big boss. No, he says. Oh, now they mistyped it. Now he says he did, but he can't remember what came of it. Obviously, nothing good, or I'm sure he would have told me right away. Okay. So your intuition, I would venture to guess, is spot on. As a professional, I might be thinking the same way. That all depends. That all depends on the reputation I know I've cultivated, the credibility I know that I keep, the reliability, dependability that others have about me. That all matters. That is all a factor. If you don't know that, I mean, the fact that you don't know where you stood with your manager, the fact that you had to question whether or not, I mean, there's a way to compartmentalize negotiations and target them in a manner where you set up proverbial tripwires where you know if your direct supervisor spoke to their manager about your cost of living increases or the next promotion that you're prospecting or that you're slated to receive, there are ways to frame, and structure your communications, your conversations with your managers so that you know whether or not those conversations took place instead of having to rely on them telling you that it happened or that I don't even know what came of it. Really? You're going to put your livelihood in this person's hands? They don't even know what the fuck is going on under their own nose, in their own organization, in their own department. I mean, I'd have some questions about whether or not they even track metrics for themselves at that point. Because if they're tracking their own professional development and they are your direct supervisor, then your success literally informs their success. Their success is dictated by how well you perform and whether or not you are improving quarter to quarter, month to month, week to week even. I mean, okay, that borders on micromanaging a bit, but it's survivable, right? It's still digestible. But if they're not doing even that, and the one time you go to hit them up on a status report, some type of situation report on whether or not you've got a promotion coming to you, whether or not you've got a cost of living adjustment coming your way, and they don't have a fucking clue about it, nah, please don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Don't set yourself up with somebody else's work. That's the worst possible approach to take, especially when it comes to navigating corporate. If you expect to have longevity in this game. And they write, now he says he did, but he, quote, can't remember what came of it. Nice. Obviously, nothing good, or I'm sure he would have told me right away. I get the feeling that your intuition is right. I would be thinking the same way, right? I have been with this company for 10 years, they write. I'm the only woman in management, so I'm underpaid already. Sounds like bullshit, but we'll continue. No one else does or can do my job. If no one else does or can do your job, how the fuck are you underpaid? How in the motherfuck? I mean, I love that they contradict themselves. That they, what's the term I'm looking for? Is it contradict? No. It's implicate. That's the word I'm looking for. I love the fact they implicate themselves in the very next sentence. They want to pull their bitch card 1 second and their victim card the next. And it turns out they're just inept. That's beauty. That's art. That's poetic justice, if you will. I've been with this company for 10 years. Okay, so in 10 years, you don't know how the shit runs. You haven't cultivated the type of rapport and reputation with your higher ups or your laterals to know what the movement looks like when it comes to compensation increases and promotions. You're serious. 10 years in the game and you don't know how to swim. Get the fuck out of here. I have been with this company 10 years. I'm the only woman in management, so I'm underpaid already. No comment. Why? Because the next sentence makes the comments for us. No one else does or can do my job. You know what that says? That speaks to the scarcity of the level of talent and skill. So on the one hand, they want to hold themselves out to be a victim. Oh, they're getting criminally underpaid, right? It's as if they had a lawsuit, right? Just pending. I'm a woman and I'm getting underpaid. If that were the case, then they would have already gone to court for the shit. Don't take it at face value. Again, This being the hypothetical client, what, you don't think I'd call them out on their shit? They've been with this organization 10 years. 10 years. And what, they're plotting their next move? Yo, if plotting constitutes waiting for a promotion, that's just waiting. You're not moving. You're sitting still. A sitting fucking duck, if I ever seen one. if you're in a management position and you have subordinates, if I was yours, I'd already be plotting a way to take you out. You've been in the org 10 years. You're bottlenecking the next position, bitch. You're in my way. You've been with the org 10 years, and now me, Alex, is going to put their livelihood in your hands and expect to get promoted. When? Another 10 years from now? Get the fuck out of here. I'm the only woman and no one else does or can do my job. If that were the case, you have all the cards. You have all the cards to negotiate, to leverage your way up to a 7, a 10, a 12, 13% cost of living adjustment. You claim to be underpaid. You could more than make up for it. Right? Sexes and genders be damned. Looking at it objectively, having been with an organization 10 years and claiming to have this specialized knowledge that no one else does, and you can't figure it out on your own, how to leverage it, I mean, that speaks to your professionalism. Not to you getting underpaid. Your getting underpaid speaks to your professionalism, necessarily. Otherwise, it would be different. Am I right or am I right? No one else does or can do my job. How nice. This was a huge slap in the face, and so I've started testing the waters and sending out resumes. Should I tell them? I almost want to tell them, I almost want to tell them they can, just to see what they do, right? There's a better way to go about it, and that is to exhaust what opportunities, what options you have in-house. I mean, don't rock the boat until you know your boat can't fit. We're talking about a canal, right? Don't rock the boat. Don't shake the boat. Don't try and wiggle out until you know you can't fit. But once you're in, you're in. And you try to see it through. You should try. You should see it through. But if you're already calling it quit 10 years later, that tells me there's something more. It tells me there's something more. You're holding something back. You're withholding information from us. You're omitting certain facts. And that's the end of this body right here. The body on this question. They're just asking. I mean, this was a huge slap in the face, they claim. And so I've started testing the waters and sending out resumes. I mean, they're testing waters and sending out resumes probably with a 10-year-old dated resume. I mean, if they've taken 10 years to become a manager, the resume is probably 10 years old at this point, because I have little faith that they've spoken up about getting promoted, little faith that they've spoken up on getting trained to get promoted or to get more compensation, little faith in that they've tracked their progress, obtained whatever metrics were required to negotiate a compensation. I have little faith for all that. I mean, I've got faith in the person. I've got faith they can change, but they have to want to change. If they're just here on Reddit asking, should I tell my manager that I'm looking for work? You already have a fucking job, and you apparently haven't seen it through, or haven't exhausted the options available to you through the organization. I mean, it can be frustrating. I don't necessarily take it out on my clients. I let them know where I stand, and realistically speaking, I'm very objective. I'm subjective when it requires analysis of how other humans operate. But for the most part, other humans also operate objectively. So that tells me that how this person is moving is not right. How this person has negotiated, or the lack of negotiation this person has been willing to engage in, it's concerning. It really is concerning, because this person is going to leave the organization potentially for another and just be another another higher on manager, right? If they choose to keep the same title, they're going to move to another organization when that other organization could have promoted from within for its own sake, for the sake of its employees and their professional development. So now they've got to deal with this incompetent manager who's been bottlenecking the position, bottlenecking the money, because they don't know how to secure the bag. They've just been bottlenecking these promotions, this compensation, and everything else that comes with it. They've been bottlenecking it because they don't know how to break out. It doesn't matter who they are, what they are, in terms of age, sex, gender, doesn't fucking matter. Everybody is entry level forever, and everyone can learn. Everyone, from bottom to top, from top to bottom. Execs to entry level, and entry level to execs. But, execs are entry level too. I mean, you're dealing with individuals that are on salary, and the stakes are that much higher, and in some organizations, much more cutthroat. Some people thrive in that environment. Some people love it. But if you're going to be sitting on a position for 10 years and not make a move of your own, you either shit or get off the pot. Let's take a look at one or two of these comments here real quick, because I feel like I've answered it in depth, right? But every now and then Reddit comes up with something good. I would first look internally, right? Handle your own development internally first before you start looking out. I mean, you've been in the shit for 10 years. But the fact that they lay their cards out in front of our face, claiming to be a victim, claiming to be underpaid, claiming to have all this specialized technical knowledge that nobody else possesses, all that tells me is that they have options they haven't exercised. And they might not be looking to exercise them. It could be just that they believe having been with the company 10 years entitles them to some seniority preference because they're the old vanguard. They're a senior now. They're a veteran. And that doesn't matter for jack shit. I've seen some atrocious shit. An elderly gentleman, 3 months away from retirement. 3 months. Could have been 3 months or 6 months, but he was well within a year of his retiring. I'm going to say 3 months because that's how impactful it was to me when I seen it happen. I lived it. I've experienced it. He got fired and not eligible for pension. He was terminated. That's cutthroat. That was his career. Not that he didn't make any moves to get there. I mean, he was already not well off, but being taken care of by military pension, having served his time. But at the organization we were at, it was a private company, a corporation. And they fired him 3 months before his retirement date. So he pulled a full stint, career stint with the military, and a full career stint, 3 months short of a career stint with a corporation just to get fired for it. That's fucking cutthroat. And he wasn't even an executive. He was not even in the C-suite. Anybody can get touched. Anyone. This is a risk. This is a risk you take moving through corporate. Business is war. I've been in it before. And we are all in it now. You're born into it, whether you like it or not. If you have plans of getting a high-paying job, or if you have plans of moving out to a reservation and living out in a homestead, chickens and goats and whatever the fuck, it's corporate, baby. It's corporate. You pay taxes to somebody, meaning you're beholden to somebody, unless you figure out how to move like a corporate cowboy. The first comment here says, they say nope. Like, no, you should not tell them. Don't say anything until you have an offer in hand. Shitty advice. I mean, I think I'm just going to tear through these comments, really, because our hypothetical client, I don't think, has been honest with themselves, let alone been honest just writing the question. They haven't been honest with themselves, whether or not they've exhausted all opportunities to advance career-wise in their professional development with the organization they are with now. They're not telling us that. They're just saying, I've been here 10 years. They've given me no raise, but I know all this stuff nobody else does. It's like you've got a card there in front of you that you know you can play. Maybe they don't know they can play it. What they need is that push. What they need is that second perspective from a corporate cowboy who can let them know how to play that card. Not the victim card, not the sex and gender card. I'm criminally underpaid because I'm a woman. No, how about because you haven't negotiated it? You've been there 10 years, taking up a spot, having this specialized knowledge that now you want to go market to somebody else, right? Which is why you're shooting out your resume to other firms. So you want to join another shop and do what? Settle in for another 5-10 years? Why don't you just live out the next 10 years in the firm you are in now? Be happy with the position you're in. Have you negotiated for anything better? If so, when? See, that's a question we would ask in intake and in follow-ups. I mean, that should signal to them that they have opportunity. The opportunity is in front of them. It's possible they just failed to identify this opportunity. But it's there. It's plain as day. And it's realizable. It's actionable. Don't do it to yourself, man. If you don't have folks you can turn to, you've got us. We'll be your circle of professionals. Our door is always open. It's as if you walked into my office and you asked me this question. Yo, should I tell my manager I'm looking for work? I've been in my firm for 10 years. I've got all this specialized knowledge. But they're not paying me what I'm worth. What do you think I'm going to say? Well, what would you do? What would a corporate cowboy do? Some corporate cowboy shit. I'll catch you next time. Take care.